Hey, it's Thursday, and I'm not Sandra. Hey, Jon.
I got a fly aggravating the piss out of me in here, but that's okay.
I'm so sorry. Kill
That's
it.
okay. Yeah. I'll catch him. I'll eat him I'll catch him in a minute. No.
Yeah.
How are we doing today, Rachel? This is a really pleasant surprise, whether the listening to see Walter's ugly mug on here. So,
sorry, Walter. Sorry.
Yeah, this is not Texas fully loaded. More like Texas half cocked today because there's everybody's not here, but that's all right.
I think it'll be okay. We'll make it work. We'll make it work.
We'll make it work. Yeah. So what's happening with you, Rachel? You're created in Christ. I like your little thing there.
Thank you. Yes. Yeah, I'm sticking with that one for a while now. As a reminder to myself, even that no matter what I'm doing, I'm an ambassador for Christ, and I need to walk that out. Need to be influencing other people to become ambassadors for Christ, to live that out in their daily walk, when they're interacting with people, whether they be their family, friends, random strangers. It can be hard though,
Yeah, that's I don't know how much you know about my background, but before I was in politics, I was the chairman of the Lone Star Christian Chamber of Commerce here for many years, and that was one of the things that I really wanted to be, was a light for Christ in the community. And it sort of bled over in the political world a little bit. And I really got this feeling that I wanted to do something to bring, Christ into politics, because that's the big thing. A separation of church and state. I was like, well, that's not really a real thing. You guys are making that up. And, really started going after that, trying to get people to vote their values, because so many evangelical Christians stay home. And so when I got in the political world, I noticed everybody wearing these little pins that said, the American flag or Texas flag and their office or, whatever. And so
yes,
I went and got my pin, was Ephesians, the full armor of God, because I figured that was a good one to have. And so we just had our event here last Saturday. We were praying for our elected officials, the first full armor of God event that we've had. And that's the pin. I gave Morgan Luttrell one. I've given a lot of elected officials in the county, because if you're not equipping yourself with the full armor of God and you're in the political arena, you're in trouble.
You're not going to make it. They will eat you alive.
And you really need to be covered in prayer. So when I see you're created in Christ, that really strikes a chord with me. Tell me, Rachel, forgive me. I don't know as much about you as I should. You're on the show quite a bit. I don't watch it all the time. Where are you from? I know you just ran for something there, commissioner, correct?
No, actually, in the last primary, I ran for county judge in Chambers County.
Chambers County, okay.
Yes.
Well, Eric is, okay.
Just down the road from you, and we're in the same Senate district, of course, share our state senator, Brandon Creighton. And anyway, yes, so we have common friends, etc. But I am about to be announcing my candidacy for another local office in the upcoming primary in March 24. So I'm just not ready to announce publicly
Okay,
yet.
I'm being scolded right now for not knowing more about you, Rachel. I am so sorry. I try and know as much as I can, as many people as I can.
Yes, well, and that's the thing, when you're out there trying to have influence and meet people, and so it's a lot to keep up with. And so
thank you for your grace. I appreciate it.
I don't fault you for that.
You're more gracious than Pat is right now. And Simon, what's up on my jacket? Well, this one was just more comfortable today, and I was feeling a Mr. Rogers vibe, and it's going to be a beautiful day in the neighborhood. So just get over the stuff. I didn't want to wear a jacket today. Yesterday, on Tuesday on the show, somebody said something about, doesn't Jon have another jacket? Well, I got lots of jackets, but the jacket I use for my webcast is just in the closet. It's like a throwdown, so I usually put that on, but I just grabbed this. It was more comfortable today. If it's going to offend you during the break, Simon, I will change into one of my fancy jackets for you. Maybe I'll wear one of the ones I wear on stage. It's real glittery. It'll trigger your epilepsy.
Yeah, that'd be great. Go ahead and do that. Yeah.
Gonna happen. Gonna happen.
Every break you have to change your jacket and see how many jackets you can wear in one show.
I actually like that idea. I think I'm gonna start
Yeah, it
doing
could be
that.
fun. It could be fun.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because I got some crazy jackets.
It could be very
People will look at my jackets and when I'm on stage and go, "Hey, man, nice jacket. Who shot the couch?" It's that kind of jacket. Anyway, let's jump into this. Usually on the show, I like to do international, national, Texas, and local stuff, and we just kind of go around the horn and see what's happening on this big blue marble hurtling through space. So let's just jump right into it right now, and I will steal the screen from you for a bit to cover a few things. So let me get to that. Hang on one second.
Okay.
First on my agenda is we're featuring the de-dollars. We're looking at the de-dollarization of the world right now. The U.S. dollar has been the dominant reserve currency since 1944. But under the Biden administration, the world is going through a de-dollarization of the U.S. dollar status as the world's reserve currency. The U.S. dollar is diminishing more and more every day. And conversely, the yuan use in currency swaps has hit record highs for the first quarter of 2023. We talk about this on the show a lot. China is making a lot of moves globally. And replacing the U.S., they're a long way from replacing the U.S. as the reserve currency, but they are making progress. And it's in some ways reminds me of the fight to save Texas, because the rhino good old boys will say, "Oh, we're red, we'll always be red," and they're not paying attention to the incremental gains with that Project Lift and that the Democrats are doing. And when you see 46% of the vote in the presidential election go to the Democrat in Texas, you go, that's a little too close for comfort, guys. What do you think? Am I off base?
I saw that report that for the first time that that the yuan has surpassed the dollar in in trade. So that it's a number, it's a fact, it's not speculation. So we have more countries that are interested in coming on board with the BRICS exchange program. The situation with the petrodollar and how they exchange all of that. And it's not going to be just one day that we're going to wake up and say, oh, the dollar is dead. It's a creep. It's going to happen slowly and incrementally over time, just as it is happening right now. And some people who have their heads in the sand are going to wake up one day and say, oh, but the rest of us who are paying attention, we're watching it play out in real time. We see it.
Yeah, here on Texas Fully Loaded, we talk about it a lot. You see Australia right now is making overtures towards China to increase their trade participation with China. A lot of the countries in this world are doing that now. Russia's alliance with China is also quite alarming, because you get the two of the three most dominant powers on this planet now that are conspiring and working against the United States, while also courting our allies. And when confidence in the U.S. is down, and it is right now because of the feckless Biden administration and all the bad decisions they make, your allies, they look to strength. They're looking for strength, and they're looking to protect themselves. So if the United States isn't going to be the strength that it was and be the leader that it was, they're going to seek refuge somewhere else, and that's what we're seeing right now, and it's pretty scary.
Well, even the strength and the economic strength, because when our economy collapses, then we don't have the buying power to influence in the world. Our people are not going to be able to buy stuff, so nobody's going to be able to want to trade with us. So that takes away that leverage that we have been using. It's going to be a huge problem. And then what do you think is going to happen when we call and say, hey, buddy, remember that money you owe us?
Yeah, well, China's actually
you all over all these years.
Yeah, China's doing more than that right now. They're going to an electronic currency controlled by the government, and they're even putting expiration dates on some of it. So if you're a government worker, they can't even afford to pay their workers in China right now. So imagine just making up currency, this online currency. It's backed by
Imagine
nothing.
that.
What's that?
I said,
Yeah,
imagine.
yeah. Sounds familiar, doesn't it? So they're paying their workers with this currency note, this online electronic currency that expires. So they're forcing them to spend this money as quickly as they can. And what's the trade? I mean, what's the dollar for electronic yuan value there? I mean,
Whatever they say it is.
well, there's no. My point is there's no
Yeah.
benchmark. There's no nexus for that.
No.
You're right.
And it
So-
can vary from one day to the next. And like you said, has an expiration date. So, okay, you get your paycheck every 2 weeks. So you better spend everything that's in your account before the next paycheck hits, because you lose it. Use it or lose it, right?
Well, a funny thing happened on the way to the poorhouse, and that is the GOP won some elections and took over the House majority. So what are the Democrats doing? Well, they're circulating a discharge petition right now to bypass the GOP House majority and bring a bill to the floor for a vote on increasing the debt limit. Their discharge position needs 218 votes, so you'd have to have 5 Republicans vote with that in the House. They would have to sign the petition along with every single Democrat. Now, I got to say, I have to admire the Democrats in this way, because they stick together and they use every parliamentary trick available to push their agenda, while Republicans don't seem to be able to accomplish much of anything, even when they hold the majority in any part of our government. I mean, I think about Obamacare, I think about the border, immigration, election integrity, reining in spending, reforming entitlements. The list goes on and on. I mean, we can vote them into office over and over. They don't get anything accomplished. And then they run again saying, hey, vote for us and we fix all this crap we didn't fix in the first place. Meanwhile, the Democrats are just running up and down the field because they're joined by a handful of Republicans every time they want to pass some major issue.
Let us fix the problem that we caused.
Well, look, I think America's pissed off and tired of tax and spend Democrats, but I think we're just as fed up with print and spend Republicans, and it needs to stop. And you do have a few principled Republicans standing up there in the House.
A few.
You saw this in the McCarthy debate with Gates and Lauren Boebert, who, by the way, just filed for divorce. I saw. Lauren
Stop!
Boebert.
No, John, you have wrecked a family. You home wrecker.
Did you really just go there with me? It's so funny. Yesterday, when she filed for divorce, it's not funny she filed for divorce. I don't believe in divorce. When she filed for divorce, I actually had somebody text me yesterday and say, it's your lucky day, Lauren Boebert filed for divorce. I'm like, stop it.
How terrible. And I can't imagine that her being in Congress benefited her marriage.
No, I was going to be funny
That's
today.
sad.
I was going to be funny today and put my big coat on with the hood with the fur thing around it and saying, I'm here in Colorado. But I said, nah, that's too campy.
I mean, just the disgustingness, the stress, the tension, all of what goes along with being a representative in our government.
Mm.
I can only imagine the weight that it would put on a family. I mean, just myself, just running for office was, added an extra layer of stress on our family.
You want to trade lives with me for a week?
No, thank you.
Yeah. I mean,
but being
nasty stuff these people come after me with.
Right. Exactly. People saying disgusting things about you, about your family, about your spouse. I mean, and that's just on a local level. So I can only imagine what it is at a national level. Just disgusting. Speaking of disgusting.
Right on cue.
What are you kids up to?
We're talking
about
you,
Lauren.
Yeah. Well, I noticed y'all were talking about the State House. Were y'all by chance looking at what's happening in the FBI committee right now? the committee hearing?
The weaponization?
I have not seen that yet. What's going on?
No.
Yeah, so live on YouTube right now on Jim Jordan's committee, you can see the FBI whistleblowers are going after, and they're exposing how the conservatives were being targeted. These are actually FBI agents that were pulled off of cases like child sex trafficking and human trafficking cases.
Real cases.
Yeah, real cases, and then placed upon the FBI list. We've actually had some of our most staunch conservatives in Montgomery County just this past week were called in to the FBI and asked questions about things, and they were. It's funny who they were. It's there, and John, you had it spot on. The Democrats have a great game because they stick together, whereas the Republicans, it is what it is.
Yeah.
It's so weird because you would think, okay, Democrats, they've got cojones, but really they're low testosterone. It's not what you think it is. I think it's demonically driven.
No, it totally is.
And that's how they have that effort and energy and stamina to stay in the fight.
Yeah, but look, the Democrats, they have their own rules, and they don't care if they don't like the rules, like the gun laws that have been passed federally. Illinois comes out and they say, a court in Illinois says, well, we're still going to ban, assault rifles. I just don't know what the hell that is, to be honest with you. And magazine-fed guns. And actually, let me see if I can find it. So the Supreme Court heard this case because a gun store in Illinois brought this case before the court, and the U.S. Supreme Court declined to involve itself in the Illinois state ban on assault rifles and high-capacity magazines. The Illinois law 720 ILCS 5/24-1.9, with few exceptions, prohibits the purchase and ownership of semi-automatic weapons. That's pretty much all of them.
Right.
Anything that can accept a detachable magazine, or even can be readily modified to accept a detachable magazine. And they define a high-capacity magazine as one that holds 10 or more rounds. So this makes every handgun pretty much, if you read definition of it, illegal.
Right.
Once this case makes it through the lower courts, it could go back to the Supreme Court again where they get another bite at it. But here we are again, the Democrats moving the ball down the field, and where are the Republicans on all this?
Well, and exactly that. So look at the fact that in our state house, they were trying to raise the legal age to purchase a weapon in Texas, and that would be to the age of 21.
Right.
However, the Supreme Court has already ruled you can't do that. But yet we had Justin Holland, I think it was, and one other Republican that passed it out of committee because, I'm a gun owner, but let's have a debate. If these people understood what the Constitution actually was, then it would have been killed in committee. There was no need to debate it. You pass a bill like that, people challenge its constitutionality in the Supreme Court, and guess what happens? Just like California, they'll overturn the magazine, the multiple round magazine ban. And I mean, this is our state legislators. These are the local people on the state side that we elect that do not understand case law, because it's Tom, Dick, and Harry off of the street. They run for office because somebody says run for office. They get bastardized by a system, and they have their staffers run their bills. And so with that being the case, we have a very minimal group of senators and actual House reps on either side of the aisle that physically know what their abilities are and what they should be doing. And yet we have this mass debate over whether or not an 18-year-old should be able to buy a gun. Well, I tell you what, why don't we make 13-year-olds responsible, 9-year-olds responsible, so that as they're growing up, when they turn 18 years old, they can handle buying a gun and owning a gun and not have to worry about going and shooting up the school, because we've emasculated our children, period. We've taken the men out of the boys, and this is what we get.
Are they going to redo that Christmas story with the guns and the children? You'll shoot your wiener off. Is that what they're going to do?
Who you know what? Who knows? It's the trading movement mixed with the gun movement. There we go.
That's what I'm
There.
saying. I mixed all the gender mod things. I got it all in one thing. Ruined Christmas. I did it all in one shot there.
Yeah.
I know it looks
Hey,
easy, but it's not.
he wasn't licking the flagpole.
That's not a flagpole. Anyway, moving on.
Gosh. Ugh.
Moving on. So what else is happening on this? Oh, here's a good one for you guys. So speaking of fighters, we do have some fighters out there that are doing something. So Governor DeSantis in Florida put an oversight board over Disney to keep an eye on them. Disney turned around and tries to sue the state of Florida and Governor DeSantis for removing their special privileges. So Florida, he's back. DeSantis is back in the news again. He appointed this board to oversee Disney's operation in Florida. That board filed suit against Disney, which is really a countersuit because Disney at first filed suit against DeSantis in Florida for removing their preferential treatment. Now, there's an old saying, I'm sure you guys have heard it before, that once you're accustomed to special treatment, equal treatment seems like discrimination. And that's what's happening in Florida. Disney is now asking the court after the board filed suit, Disney is now asking the court to dismiss the board's countersuit, but leave their suit in place. So, I don't know how that works, but that's what they're doing. They're saying, yeah, we're suing you guys for removing our special tax incentives and privileges for being here in Florida that you guys have granted us all this time. And so we're suing to get that back because we want that back. And the board turns around and sues them and basically says, we're suing you guys for all the other shenanigans you're doing to cause trouble in the state. And we'll see what the court says. I don't know. But again, you're Democrats at work, man. And y'all remember what the suit was about, right? Of course, everybody who's watching the show, the original dust up came because Governor DeSantis had the nerve to tell schools to stop sexualizing kids and that parents should have consent over what their kids are seeing in schools. I mean, that's just brash, right? And so they called it the Don't Say Gay bill and, marched in the streets, all these drag queens, because apparently, for some reason, grown men dressing like women and stripping in front of children should be a right in the minds of some of these people. And if you don't accept that and allow it, then that's an act of violence against these perverts. So now you're caught up on the story.
Yes, that you just called them perverts is violence, John. Anything that they don't like is violence. So you have just become a domestic terrorist. Thank you.
I was a domestic terrorist a long time before that one. Come on, where you been? That's why I hang out with Walter.
Yep. No, really. And, yeah, speaking of domestic terrorists, I was with our local domestic terrorists last night that were absent. That would be the Customs and Border Patrol agents in Eagle Pass. And I actually sat with some, John, I sent them to Ron DeSantis in Miami because that's where they wanted to go. But the Haitians that are coming over, they're getting on buses in San Antonio, and they're going to be going to Miami. However, I met Emmanuel Lewis, who is from Haiti, and he plays guitar. And on broken English, we were able to have a pretty decent conversation as they were walking through the streets, unmolested, untouched by the CBP, and allowed to go to a bus company.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to share that screen. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
Something else I was looking at.
Careful there. Careful.
Yeah.
Okay, but wait a minute. Why are we sending them to Miami if Governor DeSantis is being so magnanimous as to offer his services to Texas?
Well, they were requesting Miami, and to be honest with you, as long as they're getting out of Texas, who cares? Because he can send them wherever they need to go. They didn't want to go to Chicago. They all had shirts that said Brooklyn, and I was thinking, they can go to New York. But
Yeah, one of the funniest things that I saw was when, they sent those people to Martha's Vineyard. That just cracked me up because all the virtue signaling people about these poor immigrants, and as soon as they arrived in their neighborhood, they're like, get these people out of here now. Like, yeah.
You're not going to invite them to sleep on your couch?
Yeah, so stupid.
Yeah.
No, give them your old used clothes and a can of beans and get them on a bus out of here.
Yep. No, and you know what? Consequently, they were actually dressed very nice, very, they were very well bathed, the whole bit, and they were going to the El Dorado Bus Company, which shares a building with our very own favorite Eddie Morales, who's the state rep for that area out there. He took over for Pancho Navarez, and it's the other end of his building, and they were heading to San Pedro and San Antonio, and of course requesting that they go to Haiti to Miami from there.
Well, I see Biden is about to repeal the Title 42, from what I understand, and the immigrants are lined up at the border. They're expecting a surge of about 700,000 immigrants as soon as that thing is lifted.
As soon as what thing is lifted?
Title 42?
Yeah, it was lifted.
It is lifted, yes, the other day.
Well, they're expecting, as a result of that, I thought I said 700,000 or whatever.
So how does the gentleman from Haiti get over to the mainland? Can you answer that?
Well, he walked across an Eagle Pass, Texas. Now, keep in mind, they had several down in Brownsville. I talked to Mike Banks early on. He's the border czar, of course. They were able to put the wire up and keep them out. However, the ones down in Brownsville, they were able to keep
they kept like 2 people out.
No, they kept thousands out actually down there. So that meant they had to go through Border Patrol. So the state is actually pushing everything back to where if they come across a legal point of entry, then that's where the Biden Border Patrol comes in at. So they're not just willy nilly. If Border Patrol picks them up, they're going to take him in and release him. The state is they are anybody who cuts the wire or whatnot. That's actually going to be a criminal offense. They get arrested. The local district attorneys are on that issue. They don't want to take care of any trespassing complaints and things like that. And keep in mind, on these ranches and farms that they come across, whenever they do come in mass exodus, they're creating such damage. I've got a friend that I've just recently made that owns a lot of farmland, and he's lost in the millions of crops for this. So we actually now have a food security issue as the illegals come through his land, whether he's got no matter what crop it is. So we've got a food security issue on top of that, because where they can't allow animals to come and touch the crops, now you've got people with TB and chicken pox, and that's been confirmed in El Paso when we were there. So this whole thing is a hoax. The state is, if these guys would quit playing around with the HB 7, HB 20, whichever one it is, we need to get Mike Banks what he needs and get that rolling forward. As a matter of fact, he's actually stated, I think he's once he gets to do his own press conferences, he's going to come on Texas Fully Loaded and give us a rundown on all this.
Okay, but are they going to be able to actually repel people, to stop people from entering? Because I think short of that, I don't care. I don't care what they're doing if they're still letting people come through and come in, whether it's through any random place or through a port of entry. I want the flow stopped. I want a dam.
A dam what?
Stop.
A damn country back. Hey, you know what? At this point, I just want my state back. So I'm
just wanting Montgomery County back.
Right. I mean, and I got I-10 running right through the middle of my county. So how much traffic we're getting through here?
Oh, Rachel, they used to smuggle cocaine into your county.
Used to?
Yeah. Yeah,
Used to.
the CIA, the federal government, they used to smuggle cocaine into your county. Everyone knows about that back in the 80s, the Iran Contra stuff. Yeah, y'all were the first stop before Clinton.
I like I like
Hooray.
I like Kinky
Hey,
Friedman's border plan, the generals plan. You take these
hey,
retired Mexican generals, and you give them each a section of the border, put millions of
hey,
dollars in their
hey,
bank account,
hey,
and tell them every illegal crosses on their section, they get $100,000 withdrawn. You'd shut
hey.
down
So
across.
I'm fixing to drive through a border patrol checkpoint stuck out in the middle of nowhere. Uh, I'm rolling my window down. Y'all are on speaker. He's up here playing a game or he's taking a nap. Make sure y'all say hi. Hello. Hang on a second here. Hello there. Pretty good. Okay, you take care.
¿Qué pasa? ¿Qué pasa?
Gringo,
Vete
check.
So
Gringo.
so
cocaine.
when Sandra goes through, if I'm on speaker, she stopped putting me on speaker because I'll yell, "Get me out of the trunk! Let me out of the trunk! Me no habla sabe!"
Nice.
That's terrible.
Of course, they all know who she is. So, hey,
Well,
Ooh, 5 meningitis cases. One
so
death. Wow.
yeah, so here's a killer on Montgomery County. So on June 1st, Sandra and I will be with the sheriffs up there in San Jacinto County to help put that county at ease. We've been asked to come in and do a border report. There's other sheriffs that are going to be coming up into Cold Springs on June 1st there, and she'll be putting up an advertisement over the next coming days for it. But this is going to be so that people in our area, and because they had that mass killing up there, it's so that people in our area can actually find out what's really and truly happening. We've got permissions of certain people in the state agencies to put out some things that we did in conjunction with them, and then of course, obviously, we're going to put our own out. But at the same time, John, you made the statement you want Montgomery County back. That's why it was important to make sure we were taking care of the border, because the border has come to us. Luckily, we've got a sheriff in Rand Henderson who has been able to send guys down to the border. They've been down there working under Operation Lone Star, in places where the Texas Rangers have failed. And as we have seen the illegal immigrants, the illegal aliens that are living in Plum Grove to the tune of 100,000, that's our neighbor. That's your Montgomery County. And they're also living in Montgomery County.
all right, well, we are going to take a commercial break. So you want to take us into the commercial, Rachel? You know how to do that?
Give me 1 second. We ready? Okay, we'll be right back. Hey, we're back. I was just checking up on something that's going on in the Texas legislature right now. We're getting alerts that HB 900 is stalling out in the Senate Education Committee. I'm not sure why that is whenever they have the duplicate bill in the Senate. Wow. I'm in love. I'm in love. Wow. Look at this. Amazing.
So, well, I was actually going to talk about that when we got to state.
Good.
Let me finish with this here because this is important stuff. It just gives you an idea how things are reported. You know, you got these coyotes that take these families across the border. They rape them, they beat them up, they take all their money, they leave them, they starve them in the desert. Then the Border Patrol picks them up, and occasionally they die. And this is how the press reports it. 8-year-old girl dies after being detained by Border Patrol. Well, the word detained should be rescued, not detained by Border Patrol in Texas.
What's the source on that, John?
It's being reported a lot. It's on
the Guardian. Okay.
But there's other places that it's shown up. The Washington Post, CBS News, they all report it the same. 8-year-old.
I was going to say, but they're all using it to take a dig at
Border Patrol. Of course they are. It's what they do.
Not to take a dig at the human traffickers that have abused this poor little person all along the way. It's not their fault. It's Border Patrol's fault.
Yeah. So we get that a lot. That's how things are reported a lot of times. And it's important for us to bring that up here because this girl, it says she died of a medical emergency when her family was picked up. And you don't know what the emergency was. She may have been injured, by the coyote. She may have been dehydrated, whatever.
Right.
Her parents may, instead of her being picked up, her parents may have brought her to there and said, she's in bad shape. Can you help? And handed her over and she died. And they go, she was in custody. So,
Right. And we don't even know if that was actually her family.
Good point. That's a good point. So that's happening there. And so meanwhile, let's see what else is going on. Now let's go on to the state deal because you talked about this. So let's just jump on into this one here.
Okay.
So right now, just occasionally, Democrats have accidental lapses of common sense. And so Sean Theory is a Democrat. She's been censured now by the Democrat Party in her home district of Meyerland, Texas, because she voted for SB 14, which is the ban on gender modification. That's the gender modification is a nice word. It's child mutilation is
Correct.
What it really is. And she also voted to support HB 900, which Rachel just talked about a second ago, which would remove pornography from the school libraries. Now, SB 14 has passed out of the Senate and House, as I saw. I looked at the progress today. It looks like it's waiting on the governor's action at this point.
Right.
HB 900 is stalled in the Senate right now. So you can take action on that right here. Grassroots America is calling for We the People to take action now on HB 900. They want you to call the Senate, your Senate Republicans, and tell them to let's get this thing going. Here's all the numbers for all these people.
Mhm.
We'll put them up on the screen for you. So start calling these people and telling them you want HB 900. You want to get that passed. So I'll give you a couple seconds if y'all want to hit Alt print screen and keep that. Or heck, I'll do this. So let's do this.
Yes, yes. Put it in the comments.
Call these people and tell them, to pass it without amendments because they're trying to amend it and water it down. That's unfortunately how the game is played. So that there might be a good bill, and then they water it down with a bunch of amendment, which makes it meaningless.
Right.
And then they'll pass it and say, well, we passed it. Well,
yeah, removes all the teeth so that there's no consequence for not following.
What comes to mind when we talk about this was the election fraud bills, where last time they stripped it from a felony down to a misdemeanor. And I sat through the elections committee. I talked to Alan Vera before he passed away. I was there before that, and I was talking to him about this because Democrats are in there screaming and crying, and I just wanted to yell out in the middle of this deal because Democrats are going, well, that's a little bit harsh. That penalty is just way too harsh. I'm like, well, then don't commit the crime. I mean, you're telling everybody we want to commit the fraud, but we want the punishment to be such that it's palatable. So can y'all lower the penalties so when we commit fraud, it's not as bad? That was the argument they were making.
It makes sense, John. It makes sense.
Yeah.
Because that then ensures their job security. Because next time they're going to fix it. Next time when you reelect me, I'm really going to take care of it next time.
Yeah, it was fun to watch these people stand up. There would be a bill that would say something in plain English, and these people would stand up and try and they would testify that it meant the opposite of what it said, because they knew this was such a crap bill that they couldn't pass it by telling people what it actually did. HB 4636 is a great example of that. They stood up. This bill is simply to keep felons off the ballot. No, it's not.
Absolutely,
you could have did that on. You could have altered
people like us off the ballot.
You could have altered section, was it 1635 of the election code or whatever it was? I can't remember the section. 165 of the election code, which has to deal with eligibility. You could have fixed that instead of writing a whole nother bill to convert the county parties into dictatorships controlled by the guys with a lot of money and influence. You could have did that. But you knew it was such garbage, you had to stand in front of this committee and say, look, this bill, all it does is clarify things and keeps felons off the ballots.
Sure.
That takes some brass, that really does take some brass. That thing died an unceremonious death, died unceremoniously, which is good.
Thank goodness.
Yeah.
Thank goodness. But again, just like I think it's 1585 that the ladies and I were talking about yesterday, how they're trying to keep people from making political speech without being, a registered political action committee or filing reports and paying fees. And it's just ridiculous. It is ridiculous. They want political speech chilled.
Well, now, maybe I'm wrong, but isn't there a First Amendment right there to make speech that the government shouldn't be infringing upon?
Well, didn't the president say that that those are not set in stone?
He did say that, but he also said he's very much in favor of judicial suppression. So, I mean, you got to measure those two.
It's a balance. It's a balance.
Let me see something. If I can find it here.
Oh gosh, I'm scared of what you're looking for. I really don't know what to expect at this point. Did you see the video of Senator Fetterman?
That's what I'm looking for.
Oh yes, we're on the same page. Oh my gosh, this guy! Wow, how is this? How are they allowing him to stay in office in Pennsylvania? I don't understand what is happening there.
Let me see if I can find. Just bear with me 1 second.
Yes. So
It'd be worth watching. I want people to see what.
Yes, Danny, it is broken. It is broken. But you know what? There are people that care and that are willing to step up and get in there and try to fix it using good governance and prudent governance. I was watching or listening to a podcast before we came on this morning talking about just that, because the only other choice is not the choice that our country wants, I don't think.
No,
not the choice that most of us would support at this point. So that's why we're here today. That's why you come and listen to this show, because you believe that too, that we can put the right people in there and create an environment where even the wrong people are forced to do the right thing. That is my mantra right now, is to create an environment where even the wrong people are forced to do the right thing, because we can't replace everyone. And that's something that we talked about yesterday on the show as well with Miss Patty. And I was talking about the fact that I support term limits, because you get these people in office, and as an incumbent, it is so difficult to get them voted out. And unfortunately, our electorate is not informed enough to necessarily make a good quality decision when they go into the voting booth to choose a candidate that is actually going to do what they say they're going to do and actually going to live up to the state constitution, the federal constitution, stick to their principles and their morals. You have to create an environment where even the crappy people have to do the right thing.
Well, good luck with that. Check this out. This is John Fetterman asking a question, I guess. You guys
You can't even tell. You can't even tell.
Could literally crash our economy. It's astonishing. That's like if you have, I mean, like, and they also realize is that now they have a guaranteed way to be saved by how, you know. So it's you know, isn't it appropriate that this kind of control should be more stricter to prevent this kind of thing from going? Or should we just go on and start bailing and sailing whoever bank, regardless of how their conduct is? You know, I'll give you an example. The Republicans want to give a work requirement for SNAP. You know, for a hungry family has to have this kind of penalties, or there's some kinds of working required. Shouldn't you have a working requirement after we sell your bank with billions of your bank? Because they seem to be more preoccupied than SNAP and requirements for works for hungry people, but not about protecting the taxpayers, you know, that will bail no matter whatever does about a bank to crash it. Sure.
What in the absolute hell did he say?
The amount of energy that it takes me to try and process what it is that he is saying is too great. And I work with kids. So, I mean, I have a lot of processing power, and he is just beyond what I am capable of. I can't even follow the thought that he is trying to have. But secondly, I would also like to point out in 2008, when the banks crashed, when the housing market crashed, who were the ones again that bailed those people out? Which party was that again? Can you please help me understand that?
Well, I can tell you, it is a mental illness with these people, and being a musician and an entertainer, during that whole bailout thing, I had a guy call me one day. This was with the banking industry when they bailed out. Remember, all the bigwigs got their. The government went in and said, we're fining you, blah blah blah, and then they gave the golden parachutes to all the people that were at the top. Remember that?
Yes, I remember that.
This cat called me and said, "You Republicans did this," and I said, "That's Chris Dodd that did that." He goes, "No, he's a Republican. He's a Democrat." Well, you're lying. It was the Republicans. I'm like, he is on C-SPAN right now talking about why he did it. I don't believe that. Like, well, there's nothing I can do for you. He's on TV telling you he did it.
Mental illness, yes, mental illness cannot fix stupid.
Yeah. Simon sent me a video. Is that the same video, Simon, that I just played? I'm not going to play that one too if it is.
Oh man.
Simon helps me pick me.
Yes, producer Simon. Oh, he said it's not the same video. Okay, it's oh gosh, it's The Simpsons, so we have to watch it because it's probably predicting the future.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. So Simon, we're just going to trust you, and we're going to play it. And I know we're living by the seat of our pants here, but let's do this.
Disclaimer, disclaimer, disclaimer.
With our utter annihilation imminent, our federal government has snapped into action. We go live now via satellite to the floor of the United States Congress.
Then it is unanimous. We are going to approve the bill to evacuate the town of Springfield in the great state of...
Wait a second. I want to tack on a rider to that bill. $30 million of taxpayer money to support the perverted arts.
All in favor of the amended Springfield/pervert bill? Bill defeating.
I've said it before and I'll say it again. Democracy simply doesn't work.
It's perfect. It's perfect. The perverted arts.
Yeah, I don't want to get in a big argument about convention of states on this show because that would go on forever. It's like arguing against school choice. Yeah, I said those words. What a mess all that stuff is right now. And Rachel, that's all a trap for us conservatives.
Oh, yeah, no matter which way you spin it, it's a trap for us.
Yeah, I sat on the education committee at the state party, and philosophically, I'm in favor of school choice. My mother was a teacher, my brother was a teacher, my wife was a teacher, my wife is a teacher, and the problem you have is the classrooms are so unruly that there's no discipline. There's nothing to be done to these kids that disrupt the class. They mainstream kids that shouldn't be in the mainstream, and all because of political correctness. You got some kid in the back of the room who, bless his heart, he doesn't know where the hell he is. He just moans and screams out the whole time, and disrupts the class. It drags the educational system down. And if you're a parent and you try and argue against this, they've set up a system within the schools where when my son was in the public schools here, he would come home and tell us these horror stories. And my wife went up to the school one day and she went to the classroom. She said, "I'm here to observe." And the teacher said, "You need to get a pass from the office." So she went to the office. She said, and she was honest about it. She goes, "Hey, the teacher said if I'm going to observe his class, I need to have a pass." So they gave her a pass. So she goes into the class. She walks in the door. Things get quiet for a second. It's like a scene out of a movie, barroom brawl, stuff thrown all around. And one of the kids goes, "Who are you?" And she goes, "I'm just here to observe." And he turns to the rest of the class. He goes, "She ain't nobody." And they just start going back to do what they were doing. The teacher's sitting up at the desk reading his Harlequin novel or whatever the hell he's reading with his feet up. And so my wife, we went we scheduled an appointment. Well, they said, well, you can't get an appointment. It's going to be, and they put you off like 30 or 60 days or something. And so you get there finally, and there's a whole room full of people sitting there. And you walk in, and the first thing they say is, well, we know you're here to talk about the classroom, but the teacher we're very confident in, he's rated very, very well. And so we're going to go ahead and just assume that, maybe your son's not telling you what really is going on. And students have a way of exaggerating. And my wife says, I was there and I saw it myself. You shouldn't have been in. How did you get in that class? I said, time out. First my kid's a liar. And now you're concerned about how we saw the thing you're lying about. You're going to take my kid out of this class and you're going to do something about this, which is what they did. But this is the trap they set up for you. They protect themselves. And this is why I went to Austin to testify against tenure, because I think that's the biggest BS thing ever. If you suck at your job, you should be fired. I mean, it's a pretty simple deal.
It's only in government, though, because in the private world, if you suck at your job, you get fired. If it's a government job, you can't get fired. It's a right to not get fired state. I don't know.
Well, look, it's not just
upside down that, but
it's not just Texas. I'm from Louisiana, and there's a teacher I knew in Louisiana, a school administrator actually in Louisiana. And when Bobby Jindal, the governor there, was trying to remove tenure and the mandatory cost of living increases and trying to make it a merit-based performance system, the teachers were pissed. And they were out there in the streets and marching and, Jindal's this and Jindal's that. And I had to ask this person, so what's the problem? And it was explained to me by this teacher that I know very well, that I grew up with. They said, oh, well, you don't get it, John. Most people took that job because of the tenure, because they knew that it would be job security. And they knew that they would get these raises. I was like, well, what about the poor educational performance of students out of Louisiana? I mean, what y'all proud because y'all shot ahead of Mississippi and you're gaining on Arkansas? I mean, you guys are in the lower part of educational outcomes in the United States. And I swear to you, Rachel, this person looked me dead in the eye and said, it's not about the kids. The educational system's not about the kids.
It's not.
No, this is about our
not.
job and our job security and our chosen profession. And had we known that they were going to do this, we'd have never become teachers. I'm like, that's why.
If we knew we were going to be accountable, we never would have signed up.
Yeah, that's why our students are screwed right now because of you guys. So I have very little sympathy for that aspect of it. I think I do have sympathy for the teachers in the sense that, you got kids in school threatening them, beating up other students, and you send them to the AP's office and they turn right around and send them right back to, there's nothing we can do about it.
Right. Well, and I have sympathy for the teachers who can't even really teach because all they're allowed to do is go by what's going to be on the STAR test, which I was telling someone the other day, I think that the way that teachers are allowed to teach, it squashes children's natural curiosity, natural bent to learn, to absorb, to want to learn. But the way that teachers are allowed to teach, it doesn't nurture that. It doesn't grow that. It's like it's just turning them into robots.
Yeah, Simon, you're not wrong. These teachers would love their job if it wasn't for all those damn students. That's the problem.
If we could just get these students out of here.
It'd be a perfect job. It's freaking students. But
that's also because parents aren't doing their job at home.
There is this just happened yesterday. There's a school in the Houston area, and I got to be careful what I say. I don't want to say too much because I don't want to get anybody in trouble. There's a school in the Houston area that the water didn't work. The water was down yesterday and was going to be down for 2 days.
Oh no, you cannot.
And school took place. They called the kids in anyway.
No.
So you got pond water that they're using to flush the toilets in buckets. Of course, you're relying on the janitorial people, the custodians, to go in and do that, which they weren't. So the toilets weren't getting flushed.
Kids don't flush the toilet even when it's working. So just imagine if they have to do
so totally disgusting. This is going on in a Houston area school, and the superintendent came to the school to visit to check this out. Symbolic, of course, because the principal greets him and says, "Everything's great. We're doing just fine. Everything's fine." Wasn't fine.
Everything's coming up roses.
And so this teacher is talking to me. She goes, "Why do you think that they brought the kids into school?" I said, "Because I think," and somebody correct me if I'm wrong, if the kids are not in school, the school doesn't get the money for that day.
Ding, 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 ding.
Yeah. And they go, "Well, but when they had the water boil thing, they called off schools, the boil alert." I said, "Yeah, true. But that was a emergency crisis."
So they still got paid.
So they still got paid, and the money came. When you have we screwed up or something just happened to break and whatever problem, they need to fix that, which they obviously didn't. And so they weren't going to get paid. So they made the kids come to school anyway and function in this really unsanitary environment. Not good for 2 days. And, the teacher's deathly afraid I'm going to mention her name and they're going to come after her. And that's what's wrong. What I said earlier, the system protects itself.
Yes, it does. And Simon, I disagree. Schools are not cheap daycares. We're getting a new daycare / school in the school district that I live in, and it's like almost $40 million.
Right.
It's a very expensive daycare.
I think what Simon's saying is it's really it's cheaper for the people that aren't paying for anything anyway.
Well, sure, those people who are not. Yeah.
I remember a few years back when HISD was having all kind of complaints about our budget shortfalls, and we need bonds, and we need blah blah blah. We need more money. We need more money. And then in the next headline, you read, HISD opens up its schools to breakfast for families. I'm like, wait, what? You're not a freaking restaurant. You're not a cafe. But what they're doing is they were using them to feed all the illegals in Houston through the school breakfast program. So you don't have enough money. You don't have enough money to pay the teachers and for supplies, and you're poor mouthing about it. But yet you got enough money to open up 7 days a week for breakfast for people. And if you say anything, well, aren't you a Christian, John? Why don't you feed my sheep? Well, yeah.
Yeah, my Bible says if you don't work, you don't eat.
That's right. So anyway.
Because I read my Bible. I'm not just someone who says I'm a Christian. I actually read my Bible. So, yeah.
Well, what else is happening? So HB 900, again, call to action on that. Please call about that. We want to get the pornography out of the schools. For those of you who don't remember, I went and testified against the pornography in the schools. You mind if I play that clip, Rachel?
No, please go ahead and do, because I think people need to understand what we're talking about here is not you go to Barnes and Noble and choose to buy this book for your child and spend your own privately earned money on it. We're talking about a public school library that kids have to go to. They're not that's part of their school day is going into this library and being fed this garbage.
Well, what I would like to see happen before I play this clip, and I think I have a good example. If a stranger walked up to me on the street and said, "Hey, give this pornographic magazine to that little boy over there," and I did it, I wouldn't have immunity from distributing that. I would go to jail.
Right.
So when librarians are handing these books or making them accessible to kids, I think parents should start filing charges on the librarians and the teachers directly that do this. Because going to the school board meetings They say, well, there's an education immunity in the law. Okay, then you're going to have to argue that in court, but it's one step removed because you guys are saying we're not actually the ones giving it to them. We're just facilitating this process which allows them access to it. So I think the law, as I read it, distributing pornography to a child is a crime, and that's what the librarians and teachers are doing. So I think parents should start filing charges directly on them and let them go to court and say, I was just doing what I was told. I was just, let them try the Nuremberg defense when they go to court for handing kids pornographic materials. I'd love to see how that plays out, and that court case needs to happen. Here's my testimony for the Conroe Independent School District. And then I'd like to go find one that I saw of a pastor testifying that once we play this one, I'll go look for that one. But anyway.
Okay.
This one.
John Boucher.
Thank you. As all those young people were introduced earlier, they're just amazing young people. They deserve so much better. We should be modeling ethics and morals for these people and pouring into them for the future. They deserve that. But prima facie evidence that we're failing in that is the objectionable materials in our libraries. Let me be clear, we did not elect you as a board to go along with the process against the best interests of our children in this community. That is to say, we count on you to be the moral and ethical people who reflect the values of the community that you represent. And as you review and approve and even defend some of these books with inappropriate materials that our kids are being exposed to, can you really claim in good conscience that you're doing that? Or are you simply hiding behind and going along with a corrupted system? I'm here tonight because I was told that you are demanding a letter of apology from a parent who had the courage to do what you have not had the courage to do and remove a book from the library. So let me go ahead and apologize to you guys. I'm truly sorry that school boards in Texas have immunity from being prosecuted for exposing children to pornographic materials under Texas Penal Code 4324. And I will work hard to make sure that law is changed. I'm sorry for the members of our school boards who have lost their way and hide behind the alibi of I was just doing whatever the guidelines said while our children suffer irreversible harm. I'm also sorry that I did not work harder to replace every single school board member that has allowed our children to be abused in this manner. But right now, I'm mostly sorry that there's not a swift recall process for everyone that goes along with this. And the only apology that's due is from you guys. Edmund Burke said bad laws are the worst kind of tyranny. And to protect our children and our community, I would go to jail before putting this garbage in front of them. Our children deserve better, and I would never try to defend such a disgusting thing by claiming that the law ties my hands. You know better, or at least we thought you did when we elected you. We expect for you to fix this. Thank you.
That's enough. This is not a sporting event. We're having a meeting here. So
That's my favorite part with the guy.
They got mad. They got mad because they didn't get applause.
Yeah.
No. And, we just had a locally here in Chambers County, a little bit of a kerfuffle with our library system, our county library system, having books that we have discovered that are explicit and pornographic and calling them out on it. And now our commissioner's court is having to try and delicately handle the situation. So we are kind of waiting to see what they're actually going to do on this, because the first thing they did was pull the first book that we questioned, which was the genderqueer book that has the actual illustrations of blowjobs and things like that in it, and it was in the actual teen section of the library. Whenever we raised a question about it as concerned citizens and parents, the commissioner's court just said, we're removing the book. They didn't allow us to go through their policy and process that they have on the books. So we're not sure what's going to happen now.
Whack-a-mole, isn't it?
It is. And, in what's being called a knee-jerk reaction, the head librarian and another librarian verbally tendered their resignations, But now we're finding out that they are asking Commissioners Court to reconsider, that they're not sure if they want to actually resign. So some
No,
of
they
us
resigned.
think
That's
that
how that
there's a
works.
lawsuit coming.
When I used to be in the
We're
corporate
really not
world,
sure.
and somebody would come into my office and say, I'm resigning, and hand me their resignation. And then they would say, let me tell you why I'm thinking about resigning. Say, no, sir, you just resigned. Have a good day.
Well, apparently they never gave written. They only gave verbal resignation.
So it was theater. It was theater.
It is, yeah, it is. So and maybe they were trying to see if they were going to call their bluff and beg them to stay, and they didn't. So maybe they didn't get the result that they wanted. I'm not really sure what's going on there. So really now the ball is in the Commissioner's Court. But these people have so many fires right now that they're trying to put out. It really is whack-a-mole. So I really don't know what they're going to do. I really don't know.
Well, one of the things that after I testified to that, I had somebody message me and say, John, you're so puritanical. I mean, there's sex in the Bible. Would you have Huck Finn removed? Would you, basically accusing me in a book burner? And I said,
yes, exactly. You're a Nazi.
I said, really?
Because you don't want kids to see blowjobs. Okay, got it.
I said, well, do you understand what we're talking about? This is pornography. Oh, come on, that's hyperbole. Let me send you a picture. So I send them a picture, and they're like, oh my God. I'm like, exactly, dumbass.
Do your homework. Quit drinking the Kool-Aid.
Yeah, but again, it's the same thing. If you tell them, they think it's hyperbole and you're lying, and if you send it to them, then you're a scuzzy person for having the gall to send them something so disgusting. That pastor that testified, I couldn't find it. He's an African American gentleman who testified. He gets up there to the mic and he starts reading out of the book. And the guy's like, stop. Yes. Hey, sir, and stops and goes, did I say something that offended you?
Yeah, I saw that one. And that's exactly what it is. And that's what we did at the library hearing is one of the other moms, she had a large size printout of that scene in the book made. And in fact, the first company that she submitted the project to said, we can't print this.
Yeah,
this is pornographic, and so she had to use another company to get it printed. But what we did is bring it so they could see it's in your face. You cannot deny that. You cannot deny what this illustration shows.
Well, the only way to stop it is what I said. If you worked in the corporate world, you know that everybody is either a kiss ass or a save ass for the most part. And well, that's just the way it is. And it is
true, yes.
And if I'm a librarian and up the ladder, they're saying, yeah, we're going to distribute this pornographic material in your library. That's what we're going to do. And then the police show up and handcuff me for distributing that. I'm going to look to the superintendent and go, what? And they go, I don't know anything about it. That's on you. That's what they're going to do. So once a couple of them go to jail for this crap, then it'll stop. I promise you it'll stop. I said about a year ago, I was on this show and I said, if everybody keeps asking me what I want to run for, what would you run for? Well, the most powerful position I think I could run for would be county sheriff. Because yes. I guarantee you, I would force the issue. I would walk into that school board room with the books on a cart. I'd push them in front of the deal. And I'd say, I want to let all of you know that you're all under arrest for distributing pornography to children. You can fight me in court over it. I'm happy to have that day. Here's all the evidence. It's going to be logged right now. You need to put your keys and all your stuff on the table. The deputies are going to come handcuff you. We're going to haul your ass off. We're going to put you on trial for this and let the community decide. That's what needs to happen. Or when our county commissioner says, hey, we're locking down the county. We're putting a curfew out. And if you come out of your house, I'm the sheriff of that county. I go, hey, I'm just going to let you know, commissioner, county judge, if you try and enforce that in this county, I'm going to arrest anybody who tries to enforce it. I don't care who it is, state, federal, local, whoever you send to try and enforce your unconstitutional curfew will be arrested, and you will be arrested as well.
Yeah, but our sheriffs don't. Either they don't understand the authority and the power that they have, or they're complicit.
Well, they're
It's
political.
hard to find real
They're
sheriffs
political.
that are constitutional.
I love our sheriff. He's a friend, but it's a political position. And somebody told me, well, John, if you did that as sheriff, the first thing to do is strip your budget. I'd say, great. I just need a microphone and a camera in front of the press. Hey, I want to let you know your county court is putting your safety in jeopardy. They stripped my budget for law enforcement because in retaliation for protecting your constitutional rights. So next time you go vote, don't vote for these people. They're not for you. Game on. That's how you change this country.
That's what I hate about politics, though, is that they won't say that.
Well, they know damn well I will. So.
Right. But if you're running for anything, if you are an elected official, you have to police everything that you say because you might upset someone.
Yeah.
God forbid that you tell the truth.
I was at an event the other night. I won't say who, but it was a local judge here in the county who came over to me and said, John, the thing I like most about you is I never have to wonder what you're thinking. I said, yeah, you don't. And I'll say the same thing to your face as I say on the air, as I put in print, as I put on my Facebook page. And some people find that refreshing and some people hate it. Because I'm going to tell you what, people love when you tell the truth until you tell them the truth about the crap that they're doing. And then they hate you. They love the activist until you're at the tip of their spear. Then they hate it. Right.
Exactly. Yeah. Until you actually have a biblical model for accountability.
And who else would wear a glittery jacket like this on the air? I mean, come on.
Yeah. Yeah. Sheriff John Boucher.
Yeah, that'd be great. Hang tight for 1 second. Hold down the fort for a second, okay?
Okay. Oh boy, I think we're getting a wardrobe change. Let's see what's happening here. You know what? It's a good time for us to go ahead and go to commercial while John prepares for his next segment. So we'll see you back in just a moment. Hey, we're back. And while John is doing whatever it is that he's doing, I want to touch on something real quick that is also going on in the legislature right now. And that is the debate over how we are going to receive property tax relief. It looks like they have come up with some new numbers over in the House, and they have approved a homestead exemption up to $100,000. Hello. And the appraisal increase cap to 5%. So they basically said to the Senate, we see your homestead exemption, and now we're going to raise that homestead exemption. So maybe we're going to get a tit for tat here and actually get some real relief as they try to outdo one another. What do you think, John?
I think you got a better chance of winning the lottery, is what I think. We see this every election cycle. They go, hey, we lowered your tax rate. And then they raise your appraisal by, 40%. And you're writing a bigger check. And at election time, they go, I lowered your taxes. No, actually, you really didn't. And I will, hey, look, shout out to Tammy McCrae, our tax assessor here in Montgomery County. I like to give credit where credit's due. I covered on the show a couple weeks ago. They sent me a tax bill on May 2nd telling me that if I paid it by May 1st, I would avoid a penalty. And because I don't own a time machine, that became really impossible.
How very gracious.
Yes. And when I went to the tax office, they go, well, gee, John, that's because we just transferred that property over into your name, and those things were delinquent a long time ago. Well, okay, that doesn't help me. So they send me over to the appraisal district's office, and they say, you need to go over there and get them to write you a letter telling you how they screwed up. I said, what do you think the chances are that's going to happen? Come on, you're wasting my time. That's all we can do. So I went over to the tax appraiser's office. I paid the tax appraisal bill, the principal amount without penalty, because it is my property. I do own the property. And I went over to the appraisal district's office, and they looked at me like I was an Amish person at a tech convention. They're like, what? I said, okay, well, this is what they told me to do, so I'm here. And they go, we don't know, So that's what happened with that. So nothing happened. There's a damn fly again. So nothing happened with that. So then I went back to I wrote my little letter to the tax appraiser's office, the tax district office. I said, this is why people are frustrated, because you guys do things like this, and everybody does this, and you waste a lot of time. And it's even funnier than that, because they just transferred the property into my name, they didn't send me an appraisal amount for my property. And so the 15th is the last day to protest your taxes. But being a realtor, at least I know how to look that up. So I looked it up. But had I not been a realtor, imagine my frustration when they're telling me, okay, here's the 16th, here's your appraisal. If you want to protest it, you got to do it yesterday. That kind of thing. But so Tammy McCrae, back to her. I wrote the letter to the appraisal district and the tax office, and I copied Tammy McCrae on it, and she fixed it like that. She said, yeah, you're right. This was a screw up at the appraisal district. We transferred it late. They transferred over to us late. Your taxes are paid in full. You were correct to pay the principal. Thank you. We consider this matter closed. So God bless you, Tammy McCrae. We need more people like you in government that can just cut through all the BS and stop pointing at hurdles that people are going to jump over, because it's really frustrating and an incredible waste of everyone's time. So thank you.
Yes, and why can't they just empower the people that work in the office to do that? Why do you have to go all the way to the top to get something done? It's ridiculous.
When you registered for college, do you remember?
I didn't go to college.
Oh, well, when you register for college for the first time, the first college I went to was LSU, and things are not right in one spot. At the time, you had to go to each building on different parts of the campus and go in and register for stuff, and they would sign your paperwork. It was a nightmare, and everyone you would go to would point you to a different one. Oh, I can't do anything for you. You need to go to the further, and it was like a joke,
Yes.
Well, some of my friends played football at the school I played football with in high school. They were shocked to know I was even at LSU, and I was like, yeah, I'm here. And they, you're not playing ball? No, I'm not playing ball, dude. I'm done. And I said, I'm just trying to sign up for my classes, man. They're giving me a hard time. It's pissing me off. So Mac Barriant, who was a backup quarterback at LSU at the time, he goes, let me see your paperwork. And he takes it and he goes, and he gets his pen out and he writes Abdallah on the bottom, because everybody who was doing the approvals were these Mideasterners. And he goes, they don't check that crap. Just go pay for your stuff. So basically, the backup quarterback at LSU approved all my class load. I took 22 hours that semester. It was a nightmare, but I got through it all. Got out with honors. It was good stuff. But yeah, so that's what I get the feeling like whenever I'm dealing with any government entity. People don't want to do their job, and they just say, oh, well, gosh, we can't do anything here right now because you didn't go do that. And you get over there, they go, I don't know why they told you that. That's ridiculous. You need to go back over, and it's back and forth. This is the nightmare we deal with. We need better people. We just do. We need to elect better people.
Right, but you don't have to get better people because they basically have tenure.
Well, this is my granddaddy's job and my daddy's job, and that's my job.
Exactly. It's my family legacy to be in public service.
Well, and that's
how they sell it.
You just summed up why these people don't like me in this county, because I throw a wrench in that. I actually want the best candidate for the job. Yeah, you too. I know it's stupid, huh? We just want the best candidate for the job. It's crazy.
Imagine that.
Speaking of warriors, mighty warriors, I was looking for a picture of her. If I can find one. Hang on a second. Kathy Ross went to be with the Lord. Kathy Ross was a mighty warrior for the cause. And she is no longer with us. This is her with Walter. Kathy was an amazing lady. Her service is going to be Monday, May 22nd at Kashner Funeral Home, located at 801 Tees Road in Conroe. There will be visitation at 9 a.m. and the services will be at 10 a.m. And I'm honored that I was asked to speak at her service, so I will be speaking there. She was a dear friend. I'm just going to tell you, I get a lot of credit in this county for being a principled conservative who stands up against bad stuff. I'm a midget towards what she is, or she was, or what her legacy is. She was so inspiring. She was so strong. She would call me behind the scenes because she knew that I had the gravitas and the will and the courage to go do things. But she was the eyes and ears and the heartbeat. She was an ideas person. She had a heart for everyone. She was just an amazing, strong warrior. And those are some incredibly huge shoes to fill.
Yes.
So she was. And
we need more people to be coming and being raised up and mentored in these areas, because as we lose these people who have been the ones who have been, minding the flock, we have to have people coming up who can understand and work in that same vein, because otherwise who's minding the shop? Who's holding people accountable?
Well, and you got to be careful because they try to destroy you, as you know.
Yes.
And I've always had a gift for going right back at people on stuff. I had one of them come to me one day and said, "You got $200,000 in gay porn money to fund your campaign. Prove you didn't." I was like, "You're a pedophile. Prove you're not. You want to play this game?" And so then the guy runs around and says I call him a pedophile, which, I just told him to prove he wasn't. That's the game you guys want to play. So we get that a lot now too. Is here's a ridiculous allegation. Prove it's not true, and you spend a stupid amount of time. So I just turn it around and I don't even answer them. I just say, you know what? You made the charge. You prove you have to prove it's true. It's not my responsibility to prove it's not true. But meanwhile, why don't you go ahead and prove that you don't beat your wife? You just turn it right back around on them, and they hate that.
Yeah, right. Exactly. They try to make you chase your own tail.
Yeah. And and the stupidity, there was a gentleman here. He actually ran for Congress, if this isn't frightening. During the height of all of the fake Republican groups here, and I'm going to talk about these rhinos in a second, because you'll appreciate what's going on next. But he stood up in the CEC meeting because people were calling out this group for stealing the Republican brand. And he said, "You know what? You guys are violating their First Amendment rights." I said, No, we're not the government. You have your First Amendment right to keep lying And we have our First Amendment right to point out that you're lying. See, everybody wins.
Right, exactly.
So let me tell you what's happening now. You'll appreciate
Oh
this.
boy. Yes, update. We have a special called meeting of our CEC tonight, by the way.
And this is
Chambers.
Chambers. I know there's something going on in Hardin County too, by the way.
Oh, I've not heard anything about them. No, we just have some business that we need to take care of, and so we asked for our chairman to call a meeting, and he just was silent. So the chairs got together and called a special meeting.
Okay, let me see. Let me make sure here. Hang on a second. Okay. So what's going on is our chairman has started a fake Republican Party. He has liquidated the party assets. He has closed down the headquarters. He opened up another thing that he calls the Republican headquarters. And if you go Google search Montgomery County Republican headquarters, it comes up to his clubhouse. So he does this back and forth thing where it's our clubhouse. It's ours. And you go, okay, so then we need to figure out we're going to do a headquarters. No, this is the Republican headquarters, he tells the voters. So it's kind of back and forth on that. But he did register it with Google as the Republican headquarters while claiming that it's just his clubhouse. And when we had one of our members show up there the other day, he said, his wife said, y'all are not welcome here. So it's not a Republican headquarters, it's their clubhouse. And so now they're trying to have a fundraiser to raise money, and they're going to do it on the legacy of Wally Wilkerson, who Wally Wilkerson was the chair for 55 years here. Okay. And they're saying, continue his legacy and work. The problem with that is Wally Wilkerson was vehemently opposed to groups using the word Republican in their name to endorse candidates, which is what these people are doing. So they're standing on Wally's grave to raise money. Now, here's where it gets really interesting. What do you think about this, Rachel? I want you to. These are the people that have already given money. What do you see there? I circled in red. That is the Republican Party account that they were using for the Victory Committee. So now they've closed down the headquarters. They liquidated all the assets or absconded with them to the new club, supplies, material, equipment, all that stuff. Appropriated, if you want to say that. And now they're straight out transferring money from the party
to a PAC.
To their PAC.
I'm sorry, is that?
I don't even think that's legal.
I was going to say, is that even legal?
No, it's not. But they did it right there. And so at this point, look, this should not be called a legacy fundraising event. It should be called Rhino Palooza, because that's what they are doing.
Right.
Only one name on their little group of donors surprises me. And, these people are not focused on getting out the vote in the general election. They were fighting against conservatives when Ted Cruz was fighting against Beto. They were out there fighting against us, in the nonpartisan races. They don't give a crap about keeping this county red. They never show up in the general election.
They want it purple.
Well, he actually started a webcast called Purple Politics. Yeah, our chairman did.
Yeah.
They never show up in the general election. Everybody knows it. They just raise money to sustain their club, and they promote their chosen candidates in the primary against Republicans. Now, by now, you'd have to be living under a rock to not know that Brian Christ and his wife have hijacked the local Republican Party here, and they're trying to pass off their Republican PAC, their Republican club PAC, as the official party. So if you're giving money to them at this point, you're a damn fool. Okay? Or you're a coward because you're afraid of how nasty these people are. Or you're just as corrupt as they are. That's right. Your only choices.
But either way, you're part of the problem.
Yeah. So I just want to let you know, that's what you're doing. So at this point, you're either too stupid to hold office, you're too ignorant because you don't know what's going on, or you're just as corrupt as they are. Which all puts you squarely in my crosshairs because people like you shouldn't be in office. I mean,
Right.
you shouldn't be. So
Immoral, unprincipled people have no business being in office.
yeah. It's like I said, only one name on there surprised me, and I understand why he's doing it to some degree. But
I don't know which name it is. I'm not familiar.
I'm not
enough
going to
with
say.
politicians, but
But the rest of them reads like a who's who of Rhinoville. All of them do. I mean,
But
none
why
of the
would
names
that
are-
person want to associate themselves with the others then?
Well, I was looking at this deal because on one thing that they posted, that his name was on it, but on this one it's not. Oh yeah, it is. It's a bottom. It's in one of them. Yeah. Hang on a second.
Yeah, I'm not.
It's at the bottom. It's down in the bottom, and I'm not going to point out the name, but I'm just going to say that you really need to rethink that, because you're going to lose a lot of support, and all these people that you think are your pal and gonna back you up, they're not. As soon as one of their nephews or cousins wants to run for your position, they're going to screw you. No.
Well, right. As soon as they don't get their way, then you're dead to them.
Yeah. All right.
They're buying their support. Yeah, right. But you can't buy it because the price always changes. Kind of like what we were talking about earlier. There's no stability there because they don't have principles and they don't have morals. So if somebody else comes that can write a bigger check, guess what? They'll support them.
Well, they responded to the lawsuit. I read a letter that one of them wrote to the Texas Supreme Court. And one of the things it said in it, which I thought was hilarious, was that group's plan is to remove Brian and install John Boucher as the chairman. I didn't run for chairman last time, people. Okay, I ran last time because you had a 90-year-old man running for office who I thought might die in office. By the way, he did pass away. But I thought might die in office, and I didn't think it was a good idea to have the party under his total control. Took a lot of heat for that, but in the final analysis, I was right. I didn't run for chairman last time, so all this crap about me wanting to be chairman is ridiculous. Hell, I've tried to resign as vice chair how many times now? I'm just here to serve. And the other thing they said, which I thought was fascinating, was they told the Supreme Court that the state party sided with them, and that they had ruled that their interpretation of what happened at the organizational meeting was correct. That never happened.
It's patently false.
Yeah, that never happened. But that's what they do. They try and lie their way to the next point. A great example of this, when Brian Christ wrote a letter to Ginger Russell and told her to stop holding up this sign that said that his wife, Brian's wife's PAC, the Republican Voters of Texas PAC, had been condemned for dirty electioneering by the Republican Party. That was a true statement. The sign was 100% true. Brian wrote her a letter and said, "You are to cease and desist. I'll use all my power as chairman of this party to stop you, blah, 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 all legal authority, yada, yada."
You have no power. Yeah, and no, sir.
And copied an attorney, one of these rhino attorneys out of the Woodlands, on the letter. And so in the CEC meeting as the vice chair, when that happened, I turned to the chair in official session. I said, "Sir, did you consult with the party's legal counsel before you sent that letter to precinct chair Ginger Russell?" He goes, "Yeah, I did." Now I'd already talked to legal counsel and the assistant legal counsel. So I knew he was lying, but he then said, "I got a 2-page letter from our legal counsel right here, our party's legal counsel." I was like, okay. So after the meeting, I called the legal counsel who wasn't there at the party. I said, "What the hell, man? You told me you didn't give him this advice. He didn't consult with you," because he didn't. I said, "Well, then why does he have a 2-page letter And he goes, oh, he's got a letter. That was from over a year ago. That's a different letter on a totally different issue. I haven't talked to him about this at all.
A letter.
Yeah.
But
He's like,
not.
son of a bitch. This little guy lied to me in front of the CEC to get off of X.
What a worm.
So then we had a meeting, a steering committee meeting a couple of days after that. So I said, I'm going to go after him on this. So he's in the steering committee meeting. I said, Chairman Christ, you told me in the CEC meeting that you had talked to legal counsel about this issue, and that was not true. I've talked to legal counsel and assistant legal counsel. You did not talk to legal counsel. You testified falsely in front of the CEC, and I want to know what gave you the authority to do this. He goes, oh, no, I talked to legal counsel with the state party. I misunderstood you. I was like, who did you talk to at the state party on their legal team? Which lawyer? He said, Jen Hall. I said, okay. So I get off, meeting's over. I call the chairman of the state party. I go, hey, I need to talk to attorney Jen Hall. She's not an attorney.
Right.
She's just on the staff.
Yeah.
Like, son of a bitch. That guy just keeps lying.
Just
get off the spot. And that's their MO. They keep lying.
Can you understand if his mouth is open, a lie is coming out.
Yeah, I had somebody call me a couple of days ago because again, a member of the officials committee went to the new Republican Party headquarters that you Google search, went to it to see it. And they pull up in the car and Kristen Chris comes out and says, y'all are not welcome here. And so I was like, well, that's shocking. I mean, they're advertising it as the Republican Party headquarters. They call it the Welcome Center. It's right there in the name, guys.
It's literally called the Welcome Center.
But these people aren't welcome. And so this person, I guess Kristen, because they like to watch our podcast and they're shocked. Again, I say the same things here I do to their face. They don't like that. So apparently some of them heard that. So they went to Kristen and said, John Boucher is talking about you telling these people they couldn't come in. So she goes, oh, no, that was a misunderstanding. No, here's what happened. And so this person calls me and says, I want to give you Kristen's side of the story. I said, no, I've dealt with her too much. That lady couldn't tell the truth if you held a gun to her head. So I'm not interested in her side of the story. I'm willing to take the word of the people that went by there and were told they were not welcome. There's nothing she can say to me. These people are just unconscionable, world-class liars. I see what they're doing. I'm not listening to what they're saying anymore.
Right. And they've desensitized themselves to the lying. It is just second nature for them to tell a lie if they believe that it will benefit themselves. They have no qualms whatsoever with telling a lie.
Yeah, well, I tell you what, I did manage. One of the things we did accomplish, August 2 years ago, I gave a speech before the Tea Party, and I said, I'm not doing whack-a-mole anymore. Kristen Christ, her candidates benefit greatly from the slander pack out of Magnolia. And whenever I confront her about it, well, I didn't say it. That was them that called all my candidates' opponents wife beaters and rapists. That wasn't me. So I said, okay, fine. So next time the rumor came up from one of these people that they put out there, I contacted them directly. I said, I'm coming after you. I'm putting everything, every traffic ticket you've had, divorce, everything you've ever done, your criminal history, everything I can come. I'm doxing you. I'm putting it out there about you because I want people to know what a horrible person you are personally. And they were like, oh my, you're really going to do that? I mean, that's not very Christian-like. What you're doing is not very Christian-like. So just like I said with the librarians, you go after the person that's spreading the rumors. And you know what? Suddenly those three people that were the biggest purveyors of that crap, Rachel, they're gone. They don't do it anymore. Go figure.
Yeah, you know what? I really cannot stand when people try to say that is not very Christian-like. That is one of my pet peeves when people try to use your faith against you and say, oh, well, that's not what Jesus would do. Okay, tell that to the money changers.
Yeah.
Tell that to the Pharisees because I'm not buying it.
Well, unfortunately for them, I'm not Jesus. So, I was at the polls one day and I had a couple of them standing there, Rachel, and I kind of lost. Now, I'm still from New Orleans. I still got a little edge to me. And I had him standing there telling voters, he's a liar. He's a scumbag. I mean, right in front of me while I'm talking to voters. He's a scumbag. And
Wow.
one lady's like, "How do you put up with this?" I'm like, "Well, I mean, it's just what happens." So when the lady walked away, I turned to him. I go, "Guys, where I'm from, you get your ass kicked for stuff like that." They're like, "Well, you're threatening us?" Yes, I am. I am. And Ginger Russell came over, and one of the guys was bald headed, and she goes, "What's going on?" I said, "Mr. Clean here is about to get his ass kicked." And so he's like, "What?" And so then they all start walking and say, "Y'all better stay really far away from me." And then I had another one come over to me talking garbage. And I said, "You know what, dude? Look, I tell you what, we'll just cut to the chase. You're from East County, right? I used to box and cut and shoot there at the Harris gym. I'll meet you over there and we can get in the ring and I'll bang out a tune on your fat, stupid head. I'm 6'3". I'm 265 pounds. I got fake teeth and scars all over my knuckle. I mean, are you really going to try and intimidate me? I mean, I will beat the hell out of you right here in this parking lot." And they're like, "Oh my God, John's so mean." Like, you guys keep pushing the buttons. What do you expect is going to happen?
Right. Well, and so you're not allowed to defend your own honor. Okay.
Yeah. I'm just not the one. Like I said, I'm not Jesus. I'm a believer. I'm a flawed human being. But if you're going to try and be a bully, I come to other people's defense quicker than I defend myself. You start messing with my friends, watch what happens to you. But I just can't deal with these people. They're just the worst kind of people. And as soon as you crack back on them, they become victims. I call them cry bullies. That's where the term comes from. They're cry bullies. Anyway.
Right. And then they expect you to just stand there and take it. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I don't do that very well.
Yeah, no, thank you. No, thank you.
Hard pass. Hard pass. Rachel, did I remember you do some sort of self-defense? Is that right?
Yes. Those are that's my black belt certificates right there in the cabinet right behind me. Yes. I do have a black belt in integrated martial arts. So the best from several different styles. And my son actually is a black belt as well. So I am not afraid to get physical at all.
Okay, well, good. See, I was about to give you a hard time. I don't want to get my ass kicked. How embarrassing that would be.
Right? Yeah. If I would, come over there and kick your 6'3" butt and punch you in the fake teeth.
We could sell. Well, they're capped. I mean, they're not totally fake. I had to have them capped. It was a little 3-on-1 incident with the back of somebody's head, but that's another story for another show. But anyway, but you know what? We're about out of time. We got one more minute. But listen, folks, it's a different world you live in now. Be careful. I would suggest that you get your handgun insurance, your concealed carry insurance, because nowadays, if you're not paying attention what's happening all across the United States, defending yourself has become a crime. It's like the gentleman in Austin who, when the guy pointed the AK-47 at him and he shot him and killed him for pointing the AK-47. The way the court found is he should have allowed the guy to shoot him first, is really what they're saying.
And ignored every ounce of military training that he had.
Yeah, so make sure that you get some sort of handgun insurance, because should that day come, I pray it doesn't come, but you're going to need to defend yourself. And this whole thing, you can beat the rap, but you can't beat the ride. It's going to cost you many thousands of dollars, much heartache. The mainstream media is going to call you a mean person. Somebody kicks in your door at night and you shoot them. You better hope they're not a person of color or brown person, because then you're going to be a racist murderer who just killed this guy who was trying to get a sandwich. He's trying to get it out of your refrigerator at 3 a.m, I guess, but same deal.
That's my sandwich. That's my sandwich.
Yeah. You just know that's the world you're living in now. So yes. Cautionary tale for you.
Yeah. And even outside of your concealed and your insurance, get yourself some self-defense training as well. Get self-defense training, because it's about situational awareness, knowing what to look for, and Judo, yes. You can get judo training. That's what you need. You need to understand what is going on around you and not be walking to your car, talking on your cell phone, all of that kind of garbage. You need
Hey,
to know.
I got my new concealed carry weapon for Illinois. I just got it in today. This is the new concealed carry choice of people in Illinois now with the new gun laws.
Yes, with the new gun laws so that you can stay compliant. Yes, because criminals also obey the gun laws. So we're all going to be fine.
All right.
Well, with that, I think we'll sign off for today. And thank you so much to our sponsors that make the show possible: Montgomery County Texas Tea Party, Vietnam Veterans of America, Skyland Services, all of our wonderful sponsors. Also, Mammoth Nation, new sponsor, right? New networking. So thank you to everyone who makes the show possible. And thank you to everyone who tuned in today. And you'll be back with your regularly scheduled people tomorrow. So
This was the best show ever, Rachel.
Be on today.
The best show ever, Rachel.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much. I'm glad I could contribute. And I'll see you next time.
God bless.